Hello and welcome again to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Amata. Today is the 17th of January and I have some rather unfortunate news regarding Hatred, as it has become the third game in history to receive the dreaded AO, that's adults only rating, from the ESRB, that's the US Ratings Board, and this is despite it not having any sexual content whatsoever. And the developer Destructive Creations wrote via their forum, quote, "Well, I'm not convinced why Hatred got AO rating when it lacks any sexual content, but it's still some kind of achievement to have the second game in history getting AO rating for violence and harsh language only. Even if this violence isn't really that bad and this harsh language is not overused, the guy from ESRB, by the way, very nice, polite and cooperative, tell me it's all about the context, which people they're testing the gameplay on video will see." Now, if you examine the claim on the ESRB site, it does say that Hatred is indeed the second title to receive a AO rating through violence and language alone, after Thrill Kill, which is actually an unreleased PS1 fighting game. Now, there is one other game that has made it on the list without any sexual content, and that is basically a gambling game. It's literally online gambling software. So, it's a little strange, to be honest. Now, a fair few games have received the adults only rating and then basically ended up getting edited and released with the more common M rating. Now, this was the case with Manhunt 2, San Andreas and Fahrenheit. Now, only Manhunt 2 was ever officially released as an adults only title, and this was only later on the PC. Now, basically what this means is that unless Destructive Creations actually edits the game in some fashion to get it a mature rating, it's basically not going to be coming out on any console, as Sony and Microsoft do not publish adults-only titles on their machines, which is entirely their right, and it does make a Steam release unlikely as well. Now, of course, they can go through other platforms, they can distribute it themselves, or they can go for another site, say for example, I don't know, Green Man Gaming or something like that. I'm not saying they'd be okay with it because I don't actually know their policy all that well, but I'm just throwing an example out there. Even if they end up selling it through their site and you just pay via PayPal or whatever, there still is distribution options. However, as we all know, Steam is the platform on the PC, and a lot of people will not play a game unless it's on Steam. Now, of course, that's not everybody, of course, because, you know, if you like any of EA's games, you pretty much have to use Origin these days. But many people won't play a game unless they're really interested, unless it's on Steam. So for a small indie title, this is not good. And to be honest, if they release it with the adults only rating, it's going to be pretty hard for them to sell it, as they're not going to have any console options and limited PC options. Now, I get that this game is a difficult game. Many people think it's disgusting, etc, etc. I personally don't see the big hoorah about it. You know, if Manhunt and Postal and Manhunt 2 and Prototype 2, Leisure Shoot Larry, here we go, can exist and be consumed by knowing adults, then I don't see the difference. Now, many people make the GTA argument that you can slaughter civilians, and many people have made the counter argument that that's not the entire point of the game. That's true. However, in Prototype, it very much is. You are the bad guy. You slaughter soldiers who are innocent. They are trying to do their job. You can also slaughter civilians by the millions. You can, well, not millions, sorry, thousands. You can get a tank and drive it through Times Square and just, you know, go on your merry way. You are slaughtering soldiers by the hundreds. And obviously Manhunt, you can argue, oh, you're going after psychopaths, but it still is pretty horrific graphic violence. And if that game is okay, then I don't see the problem with Hatred. I genuinely don't. This game is essentially all the games that are violent with the context stripped away, and that's what's making people uncomfortable, and that's fine. If it's not your taste, it's not particularly my taste either, then don't play it. Personally, I won't unless I'm giving you a key to review. It's not personally my cup of tea. I'm not into hyper-violent games personally. I don't, I'm nothing against violence, but violence for the sake of violence, But, just because it's my cup of tea doesn't mean I'm like, oh, ban this, it's disgusting. Because, well, I don't think it is. I don't see the problem. And to be honest, getting an adults-only rating, while not surprising given recent events, is a bit sad. Because, well, they now have to change it or deal with the fact that they're basically going to have very, very limited distribution. If this hadn't had all the controversy surrounding it not being on Steam would basically be a death sentence, to be honest. For a small indie game, if this hadn't had all the controversy and no one knew what it was and it still got this adults only rating, it would be a death sentence. It's probably going to do okay because it's had all this controversy surrounding it, but that's not the point. And it's a bit sad for the developers, but they may have to tone it down a little bit and take out whatever it is the ESRB found distasteful, which I don't know what they can do. They're going to have to severely change it. It's not just like it's one scene, it's probably the entire game that's upset them. Now they are still going for a PEGI rating, which will of course affect things in the EU. So this is only in the US, but it still means no console release most likely. So hopefully I'll have some better news regarding Hatred in the future. As I said, it's not particularly to my taste, but I still want it to be released because I don't see the reason why not. If it's not your taste, then don't play it. Simple as. Anyway, that is me done for this video, and I'll see you next time.